Avarie, special guest once again, came back again. I mean, Steven Scoch, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So we have 4 teams left heading to the semifinals today. Florida, TCU, and then Wake Forest, LSU. Steven, I want to get your reaction from yesterday. A little bit different type of vibe than we saw with those close games previously. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, it felt like we got a throwback to the 2022 World Series where like all the games were pretty lopsided. So not as interesting, I would say. I mean, there were still cool home runs, still cool plays happening. So I was locked in, but I understand to most people it's not as exciting and it's not as fun. And that's all right, because I think today we're going to have a really good match.
Oh, yeah. We've been treated pretty much the whole College World Series, so I think we were bound for one day to have a little bit of lopsided victory, so that's okay. We'll give them some grace there. You found some interesting stuff in the outfield, though. There was some people stacking beers. What were we doing out there? Yeah,
I don't really know what the situation was. I asked them if they had drank all the beers. They were making one of those giant beer pyramids. I think it was about this is a rough estimate. I don't know how many wide it was. I could go back and count, but that's a lot of work to do right now. It was about 20 wide, I'd say.
Okay.
Going all the way up. Maybe that could be a way oversight of a guess. I don't know. But it was an impressive structure. I don't know how the wind didn't get to it early. But these fans, they did not drink them all themselves. There were a lot of donations. I thought if they had drank it themselves, no way they get past the second story.
Right.
There's a lot of alcohol. But they were just having fun out in the stands, even when the game's a little lopsided, which is great about the College World Series. Like, the environment here is so much fun that even if on the field, you know, you might not be locked in, there's always something going on. There's always something interesting.
Yeah, you saw Bennett Lee yesterday. You see players out in the stands. What was the conversation like with some of the players you ran into?
Yeah, so it was really cool seeing him, because going into the day, I was like, well, one thing I want to do today is talk to either Brock Wilken or Bennett Lee about that play and just kind of see what was going through their heads, if they were even thinking, or if it was just kind of like one of those outer body experiences where, you know, sometimes in sports you don't even know what's going on, but something happens and it's good. So I wanted to talk to them, and I was just sitting in the outfield trying to film a video showing how hard it is to see the ball with the sun and everything. And I turn around and there's a kid there, and he goes, "Hey, do you know my friends Billy and Robbie Price?" I was like, "Oh, you're Bennett Lee." Like, yeah, I got you.
I do know you are.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I know them. I also know, like, you were the hero yesterday, so let's talk. So they're real cool guys. But that's another thing I love about Omaha is, like, how easy it is to contact the players. Like, they're always just around. You're always going to run into them, whether you want to or not. Like, it's just going to happen.
Is there a player on your list that you haven't been able to talk to yet while you've been here?
Honestly, not that I can think of. No, I've pretty much knocked them all off.
Who's been the most interesting?
I'm a big fan of Brock Wilken. Yeah. I mean, like, he plays the baseball game well, but he plays the being a good baseball player game well. Like, I haven't seen anyone stop him and try to talk to him without him stopping and having a full conversation with him. Like, he's just such a nice guy, which, you know, if you want Steven Scoch to tweet about you more, all you have to do is be nice.
Just be nice.
Just be a good guy.
It's really simple. Yeah. And so, like, he's an easy guy to root for in my mind. Exactly. Like, I want to promote you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I was thinking about that driving over here yesterday, or this morning, actually, is we were leaving the game, I guess 2 nights ago, and we're pulling players left and right after the game. And Brock's like, "Hey, do you guys need anything? I can stay for another interview." And I'm like, no, you're good. Congratulations. You're fine. And usually after a game, you're kind of like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I'm going to grab you again real quick. I know everyone's talked to you." But I think just like how willing the players are to want to talk to you after a game, and just being so gracious with the media, win or lose, like having to go to a press conference after a loss, or even having to talk after a win with 500 people. I think that's like the cool part that you're saying, is like how much access you have to the players and just how willing they are to enjoy this moment and want to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Which has been really
We
special.
talk to a lot of athletes just in every sport. I mean, hockey, football, basketball. I think baseball players are the nicest that I come around.
Yeah, I think it's just like something special about baseball players. Like, you get around these guys who like signed up to fail all the time. It's like it's a weird bunch. We aren't like a normal type of human being, I would say, because most people would like to be successful in what they do more often than not. So, like, ball players, we all understand, like, life's hard, the game's hard. So why not take it easy, you know? Like, let's have some fun, sit back and relax. If people want to talk to us, cool. If people don't want to talk to us, also cool. Like, it's no skin off our back. Like, they're just so good at staying human. Like, they're just normal human beings.
Yeah.
Were there any interviews that you had to do that were tough besides your famous one?
No, not really. I mean, like I did a pretty good job on, not to toot my own horn, but I can take pretty much any situation and turn it into something stupid or goofy, which really helps me out, because it's like when people are asking me intense questions and they're like, oh, what goes into the makeup? What's the hard work like? And it's like, it's not that much hard work. Like, it's just, I think a lot more when I'm off the field than when I'm on it, and that helps me. But if I say that and I'm short and I'm dry, it's like, okay, that guy's boring. So I go into like how I get there, and I start with the breakfast. You know, we talk about the steak, egg, and cheese bagels. We talk about the McDonald's.
Yeah,
exactly.
wow.
Like a lot goes into it. So like I think I'm good at spinning things, not like a politician where they can spin anything for an agenda, because my agenda is just life's pretty good and enjoy it.
I like that one.
So it's not really that tough. If any players are struggling with it, I'll talk to you. I'll help you out. Don't worry about it.
Do you guys get any media training at Virginia?
No, not really. I had some at App State. They like told us how to do interviews, and no one talked to us. It's like, okay, great. You got that training in the bag. Real great ball game. The defense did good, and we hit good, and it was a real team win. Yeah, it's like,
they want you to say that.
It's like, yeah, who wants to hear that?
No
like,
one.
Everybody, like, that's the most unauthentic thing. And it's like, look, you get the spotlight only for a little bit in life sometimes. Might as well be yourself.
Yep, take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's like, I don't get it. I don't get the media training. I like the raw, just the let's go out
just
and
be
have
yourself.
fun. I'm sure there's guys who like agents and like draft guys who like, they have people who coach them up a little bit, but But
that's not fun.
You guys know me.
That's not how you get on the Keep It Real podcast.
Yeah, no.
Those aren't the guys I'm looking for.
Yeah, let's keep it fake. I've got so many questions. But first, since you touched on App State, what's it like playing at that ballpark? I see it on Twitter all the time about what one of the top in scenery and all that. Like from a player perspective, what was it like?
So for me, I played there before they redid the turf, so I can't speak to it right now. But the old turf, like there was still pictures of it where it's like, oh, this is beautiful for that week. That week is really nice. And then it just snows and it gets rough. And then, come January, you're about to practice in sub 32 degree temperatures, and you're like, oh, there's snow on the field. We can't be doing that. That's not going to happen. Oh, just get the shovels. We'll just shovel it off. So there's a lot of caveats. It is beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but there it does come with its drawbacks. A lot of snakes on foul balls too. A lot of snakes.
Oh, yeah, snow and snakes. Wow.
Yeah, it's not at the same time, of course. That would be much easier, because snakes don't really blend in well with snow, I don't think. And if they do, well, my winter's ruined. But no, it is a beautiful field, though. I will give them that.
Okay. And my second question, your mindset when you were a pitcher, you kind of talked about in your famous interview, not to take it too seriously. There's going to be harder things in life. Someone else that kind of replicates that is Paul Skeens. He talks about just going out there and having fun. There's going to be more difficult things. Where do you get that mindset, or where did that kind of come from for you?
I think, honestly, as weird as it sounds, the difficult things in life that happen, So like whether you're going through it, like no matter what your life is, there's going to be hard things for you, and it's all relative, of course. So like someone might not have as many hard things as someone else. That doesn't mean they don't have hard things. But when you have those hard things happen to you, as a ball player, the one thing that cancels every bad thing out, the one thing that just gets rid of it all, is going to the baseball field and being with your friends. So you go out and you get to compete. Like, I remember some of the worst days of my life. I had phenomenal outings. I was doing great because I was just appreciative. Sometimes I would draw it out. Sometimes maybe hit a guy, to extend it a little bit, because I don't want to go back to it. But it's just like when you can appreciate life for the good things, and the things like going out and playing a child's game on TV and inspiring and motivating a next generation of ball players. Like, it's such an awesome thing. And like, you can't really have that stress in it, because that's not just in the game's DNA. Of course, there's going to be stressful times, but to have success in those situations, the stress can't be there. You can't play tight. You got to be loose, and you got to have fun.
Yeah. I want to talk about going from smaller schools or JUCOs up to the Division I level, because we've seen a ton of that here, and guys that could also be drafted very soon as well. How important is it to get that experience maybe at a JUCO or a lower level conference school and then move your way up?
Well, to me, it's really important just because if you look at the transfer portal right now, the reason it's appealing is because it's instant. And like, we live in a time where we want everything instantly, and I want everything instantly. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way life is. But when you're a coach at like a Power 5 school, for example, and you say, our pitching staff kind of struggled this year. We need to fix that next season. How do we do that? Are we going to get a guy who is at another Power 5 school? He has 4 innings and he struck out 12 guys in those 4 innings, but it's 4 innings all season. Or are we going to get a guy from a mid-major who's thrown 100 innings this year and has like a 3.2 ERA, but has proven that they know how to pitch? Maybe we'll take that guy just because that experience and that resume becomes all that more important. And so I think, going to those smaller schools, I didn't go to a JUCO, but I did go to UMBC, which was a mid-major before going to UVA. So I feel like I do have some identifying factors of that kind of chip on the shoulder of, they didn't want me at first. Yeah. And I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to have my pretty woman moment. I'm going to make them feel stupid. I think I did that. I did tell the coaches a few times when I made it there that I thought they were stupid for not taking me then, but I understood. Where their head was at. And, I just had to add to my resume, whether it was playing at UMBC or playing in the Cape, playing summer ball, whatever it was. It's just more important than anything else right now. Whatever level it is, all that matters is that you play. And you got to think about that, not in the sense of, oh, I'm on this roster. It's, can I compete for a spot on this roster? And when you do that, when you have someone you can compete against, like that's one of the reasons I love playing at Virginia, because I transferred in and Andrew Abbott was there. He was a closing pitcher. There had been talk about making him a starting pitcher, but I saw it as, okay, me and this guy are going to compete for a spot, and we're 2 of the better closers right now in the nation. How are we not going to be successful as a team when me and him know we're competing against each other for that role? And when we treat it like that, but at the end of the day, like, you have that internal battle. But at the end of the day, you guys know that in your heart of hearts, all you want is to help the team win. That's when pitching staffs get really good and really dangerous. And, that's why I feel like we had a good amount of success on the mound that year, was because me and Abbott just, it was very shortened because of COVID. But me and Abbott, it was like we were interchangeable. It didn't matter if he was going in for the hold and I was getting the save, or I was going in for the hold, he was getting the save. But again, just find somewhere where there's a player like you that you can compete against for playing time and play there until you want to move on to somewhere else.
I love that. Yeah. That's a really good message, I think, for
great.
young baseball players that think they need to go to that Power 5 school right out of high school, because they want all the glamour, of course. You want to be the one that's putting out the commitment post. I'm going to LSU, I'm going to Vandy, but what's the difference of grinding it out 2 years and then being that star and being in the College World Series at this point? Yeah,
it's like you kind of got to work for it. And like, it's cool to commit to the big schools. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But looking back on it, hindsight's always 20/20, of course. But if UVA took me out of high school, I'd go there. I would probably fail conditioning tests too much. They'd be like, hey, we can't have this bozo around, and I'd get cut. Or like, I'd go there, I wouldn't learn how to pitch with my mentality or how to, perfect my craft or get as close to perfect as I intended to get before calling it a day. But I can't do that if I'm not playing, or if I'm at UVA where, like, out of high school, they're like, okay, well, this guy's not going to get innings. I got to go to App State. I got to go and get my 30 or whatever number of innings I get there, and I got to put that work in. I got to sit out a year so I can, get another year at the end, maybe get a little bit more education. Why not? Sure. If it's there, I might as well have it. And just like, the route doesn't have to be perfect, and it's definitely not a straight road. And just with the way the landscape of college athletics is right now, it's more obvious than ever that the path to success is definitely not going to be straight, because there's more roads. The infrastructure has improved.
Yeah. I want to touch on that because I'm a baseball sister. So I've watched my brothers go through recruiting. I've also gone through recruiting. And I think we were talking about the glamour of Division I, but we've also seen a mid-major team succeed on the highest level here. What can you speak to in terms of high-level Division II baseball, what JUCO baseball does, and even a mid-major program for kids that might not be at the level that you were saying a Power 5 school? How important is that kind of middle area of baseball in college right now?
To me, it's like the most important part, because that's where like we're getting these big stories of,
Right.
oh, this guy made it from this rank and is now playing in the College World Series or whatever it may be. So, you know, I love the talent at the top end and even the middle of these other ranks, because there's just so much of it. And with the way baseball has been in the past couple of years, starting from 2020, where the draft gets cut in half, there's going to be, or might have even gotten cut more than that year, I believe. But I digress. So the draft gets shortened. More players are like, okay, I'm a junior. I should have gotten drafted in the 30th round, but I'm going to go back to school. So there's an influx of those players. And then, oh, COVID happened. Here's a bonus year. Then you got guys like me taking advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's all this influx of talent, and it's got to go somewhere. So say in years past, mid-majors would get like those 4-tool guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're getting that 4.5-tool guy and like the fringe guys who couldn't make it in the Power 5. And, you know, that's how it trickles down each rank. And so the talent is rising because it's just kind of survival of the fittest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I feel like those now more than ever, those ranks are where a lot of the talent's going to be, and like where a lot of guys are going to get discovered, because again, talent's there. Twitter exists. It's easy.
Yeah.
I could see a clip of a baseball game in Montana like 2 minutes after it happens here in Omaha, which that's close, but I usually am in Delaware, so that's further away. So that's impressive. But it's just crazy how accessible the game is right now. And so those lower levels, like, you can still go out and play summer ball. There's dudes in the Cape from D2, from JUCO, from all sorts of ranks who are just killing it. And, you know, they aren't going to be at those ranks forever, it seems like, and they're going to have success after college.
Once you had that experience, App State, UMBC, and you kind of realized, okay, I can bet on myself now and I can go to another level. How did that conversation go with those coaches where you're like, you know, I disagree with you guys. I'm here now. But how did they take that conversation when you could believe in yourself and be like, I know that I can be here now?
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Because, you know, coaches, they're very intelligent people.
Yeah.
They make the right decisions a lot of the time. And not taking me, of course, was the right decision. But it's just fun to give each other crap, you know, because at the end of the day, they're ball players too at heart. And they were the exact same as us. And I'm sure if they were on a team where coach was like, yeah, we just don't know. And then 3 years later, coach was like, you're gonna help me win a lot of ball games, right? It's like, oh no, man. I don't know. It's just fun.
Yeah.
So it was fun to give them crap for it. Just because you have to. And it was like a situation I always dreamed of. And once I got to know Coach O'Connor a little bit more and more every day, I was like, okay, this guy likes joking around. Like, he's a good guy. He wants to play loose. I'm going to mess with him now.
Yeah.
I love that. And I feel like his post-game interview, too, was really telling of just the culture at Virginia and how much belief and confidence he has in his guys. What was your maybe reaction or emotion watching that and just hearing him speak, because you've just known him for a while now?
It was just like, oh, yeah, there's my friend Brian, you know, because, like, he's such an authentic person. Like, he's not going to say something for the media that he doesn't believe is true. He's not going to, like, try to put on a different face to talk to the media than he will his guys. And that's one of the things I love so much about Coach Oak. Like, in the whole recruiting process, he was as straightforward as could be. He didn't beat around any bushes. He was like, okay, what's it going to take for you to get here? Because I'll do that. And he's just a great guy. And, like, hearing his sentiments about believing in the guys and, you know, how much faith he has in the players really speaks volumes to how far he's come as a coach, to where, you know, he's not tight in situations where, like, a coach would be tight. And, like, he has the maturity and the growth as not just a coach, but a human being, to realize that at the end of the day, this is just a game. And, like, Omaha, while it is an amazing place, and I love Omaha more than anything, for a lot of these players, it's a stop in the road.
Yeah.
And for a lot of players, it might be the end of the road, but awesome end of the road. I stopped here. I parked here. This is where I got out. Great place to be. But he has that perspective of, win, lose, or draw in Omaha. These players are all better as ball players and as people because they got to come here.
Yeah.
And, having that perspective, win, lose, or draw, you're still going to find a way to win. That's where things get powerful. And like, that's a person you want to be around.
Yeah, it was an emotional interview. Yeah. I mean, watching it, I feel for him. I feel for everyone at Virginia and ORU, everyone that's gotten out of this tournament. I mean, you just want everybody to stay in, but we can't have it. We have to have 4 last teams here, and then, of course, an eventual national champion. Let's talk about those last 4 teams, TCU and Florida. Up first, Steven, thoughts on that matchup?
I just think it's going to be a really good matchup just because Florida, they're well rested. They've had a lot of sleep. They've had a lot of stuff to do. They went to the zoo, which I don't know how important that is, but, when you get go
take your mind off it, go see the giraffes.
You get to go see the giraffes, go to the zoo, hang out, have some fun while, other teams are in the sun wearing pants and sweating. So you get a little bit of relaxation there, but also it's just hard to win out of the losers bracket. So that's a double-edged sword where if, TCU takes game 1, it's like, oh God, because then they're hot, they're on fire. The other team's demoralized now. So that could be really hard to bounce back from, but I think it'll be a good matchup either way. I'm excited to see Florida players play just because all of them are very impressive. And then you get Braden Taylor and Trey Richardson playing too. It's like, okay, this
talent's just been unbelievable.
You talked about you think Cags is going to pitch for Florida today. Have you watched him pitch in person yet this season?
I've seen it once, and it was really cool. It wasn't his best outing. He had walked a good amount of guys, but still didn't surrender runs somehow, which – again, that's good. He just used up a lot of his bullets, but his bullets are fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, they are very fast. It's very impressive. It's a funky arm slot. It's a lot coming at you at one time, and then he's going to go to the plate and hit the ball very far.
Absolutely.
Which, can you beat that?
No, I don't think you can. No.
The nightcap, Wake Forest, LSU, high-powered offense. I'm really intrigued at this matchup. Also, who will be pitching for either side. I don't know what to expect, but I think it's going to be a good one no matter what.
Yeah, Wake Forest really impressed me with their win over LSU the other day just because they didn't do it the way people expect Wake Forest to score runs. Like, a lot of people are on Twitter, at least, are like, oh, they play in a small yard. They can't score runs without home runs. Okay, Brock Wilkins hitting 400 footballs to left field. That's going to be going a lot of places. Can't really even think of a joke name of a stadium that wouldn't be a home run in.
Yeah.
So seeing them manufacture runs the other way where they're just piecing together hits and kind of playing a really complete ball game. Like, of course, they pitched well, but everybody knew they were going to do that.
Right.
Like, it's controllable, and Wake Forest has really controlled that this year. So seeing them manufacture runs that way was impressive. But this LSU team, they're coming out of the losers bracket again. They're kind of playing with that chip on their shoulder like, hey, maybe you got lucky this time. That's at least that's how I see people on Twitter thinking it might go. They got lucky. Let's see how it goes again. Well, I'm excited to see how it goes again because there's been a lot of talk.
I said this on the other podcast, but I don't bet against Nick Saban, Tom Brady, or LSU baseball.
That's fair.
So I'm going to pick LSU like here and out for the national championship because this stage is where the stars shine, and I think LSU has plenty of them. And if you're going to win your game, you're going to have those guys step up, and it's just time for that.
If it gets close to the end, do you think they put Skeens in to close out at 1 or 2 innings?
I could see it depending on how it's going, but I feel like they wouldn't do that. They might, save him for a longer.
Sure.
Because, when you're this close to draft time, I blew out my elbow trying to get here, so I don't know what the whole draft time, don't get hurt, yada, yada stuff is. I didn't believe in that because that wasn't my goal. So I don't know what they'll do with him. Maybe they rest him more and save him for later. Whatever it may be, I'm just excited for a good matchup. Yeah. I really like Wake Forest here just because, I've got to rep the ACC. I think it would be good for college baseball as a whole for them to come out with this. To
not have an SEC winner,
Did you catch after the Wake Forest LSU game that the fans of Wake Forest were chanting ACC? Did you catch that?
Yeah.
I heard that too.
It's a subtle jab.
Just the fans.
Yeah,
not
the fans. No, not the players.
No media members were doing that.
Yeah, were you?
No.
I didn't hear it, did I?
No. Couldn't have been, right?
No, it's just cool because, there's so much back and forth over SEC versus ACC in college baseball, and just to kind of have that respect on the ACC coming out in Omaha and really proving themselves, I think would be good for college baseball as a whole, because then it's, Wake Forest is coming down to town to play up in Virginia now. Now I can see them easier. I just think it's good for college baseball as a whole. But again, anyone winning is going to be awesome. Yeah. I'm all for it. I want these kids to be happy.
Absolutely.
Off the field, what's the best thing you've seen in Omaha so far while you've been roaming around?
Oh, my goodness. I love the troll under the bridge. I don't know if that's a new addition. I have no clue how I would have missed it last year, but that thing is awesome. Big fan of him. Across the bridge in Iowa, there's like this giant statue made out of like pie tins. I didn't go close to it because it looks freaky.
It is freaky.
But there's a house like maybe 300 feet away from this, like 100-foot tall statue. Maybe, I don't know how tall things are. I would have to have a Forester's prism to measure that. And I would need a lot of math, so I'm not going to do that. But it's a giant statue 300 feet away from this house. It's like,
probably feels like it's just going to start walking and crush their house.
Yeah, that house, as a former realtor, that house, the property value is like 38 cents.
It's sinking. It's sinking really low.
Location's horrible next to that guy. But you are a walk to Omaha, which, I mean, can you beat that?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Have you been at the zoo?
Not yet. Not
What?
yet. The zoo's coming this weekend.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank God. I can't wait to see the content from that.
Yeah,
You're going to have such a blast. Make sure you go on the safari.
Yeah, that's terrifying, but I'll do it. I just love the zoo.
Yeah.
It really rocks. I think they treat the animals well at this one, which makes me happy. Happily support. If they didn't, wouldn't go.
Yeah. Good call.
But yeah, good zoo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to wrap up the show, let's get national championship matchup in your prediction.
I think Wake Forest and Florida.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey,
are you asking me now? I kind of am on the Wake Forest train right now too, just because they are 2-0. They're so fun to watch. They're playing with so much passion.
I do love Wake Forest. Yeah.
I might say Wake, Florida too.
Okay. Well, I can't go against what I've already said, so I'm gonna go LSU, Florida, and I'm going LSU.
Yeah, you can't bet against them. You told us twice.
Nope, I said it twice, and I'm doubling down, I guess. Tripling down, really. I've said it 3 times at this point.
Just don't say Beetlejuice that many times.
Steven, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you stopping by once again. Ana Bellinghausen and Avarie Howard with you. Let's move on to the semifinals, guys.
Yeah,
let's do it.
All right.